Peter arrived at, I believe he was either 3 days or 3 weeks old, very, very young. And my mum and dad had agreed to do long-term or short-term fostering. And Peter was my first recollection of fostering.
For me, it was so valuable to be able to go through and have a normal life, because the reason I was fostered was my real mum had postnatal depression. In those days, they sometimes put them in mental home if they had that to get better. And she stayed there. And then I was told by my foster mother when I was 7 that she'd died, and I hadn't met her.
He is brother to us now, you know, and I've only got Peter now. My brother died a few years ago. So yes, he's just, I've never thought of him anything other than a brother. I don't know why, when his mum died, my mum and dad didn't adopt, but it never happened. But we just never think about it now. He's part of the family, and that's it, end of.
In the early days, I remember sitting playing, and they only had the radio. We'd sit and listen to the radio together and playing in the garden.
My dad would work, had his job, he worked during the day. Many times come in at night and Mum would have another couple of babies in her arms because it was short-term fostering.
I remember sitting on her knee a lot and saying, "Oh, I love you so much," and everything. I suppose in that stage of their life, I was like, you know, their own new children, because Doreen had grown up a bit and I was there.
I always remember one day, I think this was the only time it affected me. I'd been getting told off by my mum and dad, and I run out into the kitchen behind the door and I was crying my eyes out. I was only young. And Derek came and he said, "What's the matter?" I says, "You know, I'm fostered. I'm not really theirs. I'm fostered." And he says, "Look, I'm telling you, you are Mum and Dad's true child, because I ran for the midwife when you were born."
My foster dad worked at the electricity board. He was only a labourer, but he would get bits of meter and bits of electric things, and I would make stuff. So that was good, and he encouraged me to do it. I remember blowing all the fuses in the house a few times.
Dad had bounds of patience, sitting reading to them, and just, he would take, if it was a new baby on the scene at night when he come in from work and his tea wasn't ready, he would take the baby and say, "Oh, it's okay, if I just, you go and do me tea, I'll look after this one."
So eventually there were 7 of us, because Doreen was at home, and it was quite a big family.
Whether that would be allowed now, because we lived in a 3-bedroom semi, I don't know, but that was the norm. And as I say, I mean, we had Linda and Carol. They were with Mum for a fair few years until they got into their late teens, and they left to do their own thing. So it was quite interesting. I mean, 2 of Carol and Linda, they were my bridesmaids at my wedding. You know, so we did get on really well together.
When I was 18, the social worker came around and said, "Right, you're 18 now, you're not on our books anymore. You can do what you like, you could leave." And I said, "Well, have you got any history about my background? I'd like to know more." And he told me where my father lived and things like that. I hadn't said anything before that. And they said, "What are you going to do now? Are you going to go somewhere?" And I said, "No, I'll stay." And my mum was happy for me to stay.
Peter did very well in school, and obviously went to university and graduated. And I mean, he treated her totally like a mum. He really did. I mean, even when he was at university and she was very ill, he would be coming home every month. And, you know, I don't think Peter's even looked on Mum as a foster mum at all.
She wasn't very well, and I was with her when she died. You know, I went back deliberately to sort of look after her in her last few days, because I felt as though I should do that, and I could do that. It was just as though I was going to see my own mum.
I loved having them around. I loved the you know, not being on my own, because 12 years between my brother and I was a long difference. I mean, he didn't want me trailing after him at 20 when I was only, what, 8.
Doreen and Raymond, it's like a brother and sister, or, you know, brother-in-law, and we have a good laugh with them. They're Geordies, and I'm a Geordie at heart. And for me, it was a very good experience.